Welcome, guys, to the Live Sports of New Mexico show. This is a show where we just talk about life and sports and how they interact, how it can help us as athletes, as student athletes, as coaches. We truly love doing this here. Myself, Pastor Brian, our guests that come on, we're just so thankful that we have this platform, that we were able to do this. We like to thank, Proview for letting us have this show, and Legacy Church sponsoring this show. If you haven't been to Legacy Church, it's a great church. I've fell in love with the place. It's where I've really grown just as a person. Somewhere where I could, I learned the Word of God, and I could really apply it to my life, and it's really applicable. And it's really taught me kind of about my own life, how when I grew up, I realized basketball was kind of like my God. I did everything I could to play basketball, and I learned the disciplines I needed to do, and the sacrifices I needed to make, the commitments I needed to make. And that's what I want to talk about today. It is summertime. This is a time where, we get to just be athletes. Not student athlete. Everyone says student comes first. Yeah, that is true during the school year, but now it's time just to be athletes. I think myself, I'm a teacher now, and I think when I look at it, I think I'm more excited as a teacher to have a summer break than I was as a student. Especially teachers at the end of the year usually that's the kind of crunch time where we got to get grades in, we got to check out our rooms, everything's clean, all that stuff. So it's a little bit tougher, but I'm glad it's the school year is coming to an end because of the summertime. And I really truly think this is where athletes have to really be disciplined. Because there is a lot of things going on. A lot of your friends like, hey, you're going on vacation. We got these parties to go to. We can stay up late, play video games all night. But the athlete has a different lifestyle during the summer. I remember growing up, and I was the one that just always got up early every morning. When I worked out, it was from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. It was an hour of weights, hour of conditioning, and an hour of shooting or dribbling, doing a basketball workout on the court. And the reason why I did it at that time, people ask, why'd you do this so early, is because I knew you were sleeping when I was working out. I knew by 9 o'clock I had 3 hours worth of practice in, and you were still asleep. And that was just my job, like my thing as a competitor. I just wanted to work out when you weren't working. Even on Saturday nights, I like working out from like 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Just because I knew you were at a party while I was working out. So that was just kind of my competitive drive. I know everyone has a different way of going about it. And even first it was 2 hours. I would work out for 2 hours, and I saw one of my friends, they wrote about him in the paper, and they said he's working for 3 hours. So I was like, all right, I'm going to work out for that long as well. And I think it really gives us that competitive drive when we're trying to outwork each other. I remember I've told this story before, Pancake Thomas, he was a teammate of mine. He's doing really well overseas, and he was one of those guys that said he didn't want me to outwork him, and I didn't want him to outwork me. And so we're just like this, and we keep pushing each other. It's not like we're saying, hey, stop working hard because I don't want you to be better than me. No, we're both pushing each other up there, and that's something I really want us to focus on. Just really be disciplined. I'm not saying work out at 6 in the morning. Some of you guys like your sleep, but I think that does give you a competitive edge over the next guy, because I would be done by 9 o'clock, but then in the afternoon, my friends that were up and wanted to play, I would still go do it. But I still had 3 hours each day, and all those hours add up. So that's just a thought for you guys over the summer. And I also think you should focus on one word. I know at the beginning of the year, a lot of people say about New Year's resolutions is you focus on one word throughout the year. And, I've had my personal word that I've always thought about, and, it just kind of something that you think about this word as you go about your day, and then it kind of directs you what you want to do, what the goals you want to have. And for basketball, I do this for my basketball program at Legacy, and our word last year was committed. How committed are we? Are we going to be on time to practice? Are we going to be at every game? Are we going to be committed in the classroom to make sure our GPA is not dictating if we're playing or not? So I really wanted this. So committed, that word could lead us to so many different areas. So committed was our word, for example. I kind of give you a preview of the next word I thought about that God gave me was sacrifice. And I think it's very huge for summer. Some of you might use that word, and I don't mind if you do, but sacrifice is going to be huge because you do have to give up a lot. Maybe there are vacations. I remember my parents would go on vacation to Hawaii, and I told them, like, I have to get better, especially my senior year going to my freshman year in college. it was a time when my parents were like, come on, you have to go. I was like, I can't. I can't afford to lose out so many hours of work I need to put in to get myself ready for college. And so sacrifice is definitely a big word that we have to understand, because you have to give up some things to be successful. I think a lot of us kind of want that instant gratification, especially this generation coming up. We know with social media and Instagram, it's like right when you post a picture and then 10 minutes go by and like, how come I only have 20 likes? You know, you're kind of like, what happened? You know, you keep refreshing the page and you're like, how come I don't have more likes? It's not, we can't have that. We can't have that mindset. Be like, you know what? I could go to this one party. You know, I could do that. I could, you know, skip out on a workout. But I think that leads to more workouts being missed. I did that in college. I know in college, they don't have, you know, they don't really take attendance. And so I would make sure I went, because I knew if I was just in class, I would get a lot out of it. Then one time I did miss, and that kind of led to this domino effect where I started missing classes. I started making excuses. So my head hurts, my stomach hurts, whatever. I have to do this assignment for another class. So I think we can make excuses, but sacrifice is a big word I think we should focus on. Here's a thought before we go to break. We either pay now or play later, or play now and pay later. Either way, we're gonna have to pay, guys. I think it's better for us to pay now, because you see so many people that are successful now. They had to pay the price. There was something. You look at their backstory, them growing up in a tough neighborhood, them, you know, having to work for nothing. I mean, you see Coach Brad Stevenson right now doing really good things with the Celtics. He was a volunteer coach for Butler as his first job, and then he got a paid job as an assistant. Then became the head coach there. And now he's the head coach of a really good organization, the Boston Celtics. But we have to understand that we have to pay now. We have to make some sacrifices now, especially you guys in the high school level and even the college level. You guys have to understand that. So I suggest you pay now, pay the price now, so you can play later, and your life will be a lot easier later. Coming up, I'm going to kind of talk about a subject where do we really like the NBA more or college basketball more? So we're going to talk about that, and then we also have a really great guest coming in from Eastern New Mexico. You're not going to miss what he has to talk about. He's been a few years removed from Albuquerque, and we're going to see what he's been up to. So hopefully you guys stick around, and we'll see you when we get back.
That's driven, that's deep, that's gone. That's a two-run bomb turned in by Gabby Gomez. Second. Gotta give them a lot of depth, lifted in the air to right field. That's drifting, and gone. That one. Drifting, the wind caught that baby and just kept it going. The kicker comes up.
Well, this one is hammered out to left field.
Yeah.
That's gone!
It's a home run.
A two-run shot for Austin Slagle. And La Cueva out in front 3-1. First homer in Isotope Park.
This is Austin's great performances. That's pulled well in to right, and it's gone! First inning homer for Martinez.
Oh my God, that was wow. Who would have thought of that, huh?
The Falcons.
That's their very look at this. Schlegel gonna hand it off to Pineda. Off the bat. No, the tag is there. Out!
One. Driven deep to center, going back, gone.
a 3-run bomb to straightaway center field. And you said it, explosive. Corners remain up. That's driven up the middle for another base hit. They're going to wave him around from second. Here comes the throw. Got him!
This one is hit heavily out to left field, getting underneath it. Ramos makes the play, the grab, and it's over. The 2018 state champs. It's the La Cueva Bears, their 10th in school history. And what a play to seal it up. We'll talk with your dad now. The big hug. That's priceless right there.
It is Bird who got a good jump off there. But right next to Bird, though, is Volcano's Alejandro. This could be Bird. Taking it easy.
It's a clean start. Jordan Bird there already in front with a white headband. It's not even close, ladies and gentlemen. This kid is something special. And Bird with a 10-5-8. He just missed it. Jordan Bird already blowing everyone out of the water.
Welcome back to the Live Sports in New Mexico show. So hopefully during break you thought about that one word that you're going to use this summer. I think sacrifice is a really good word because we definitely are going to have to sacrifice a lot. Those parties, those late nights, those, sleeping in, to kind of make that your lifestyle, because you see some of the greats, they do that. The ones that get up early in the morning because they know that even though you could even work out 3 hours later, but I think if you work out those 3 hours before everybody's up, then you still have a lot more time to maybe, hey, you want to do another one. So I think it's really important for us to be able to get into that. Next topic I kind of want to talk about is kind of, in the, more nationwide, is you got I look at the NBA playoffs and March Madness. I kind of look at these two, and, I watch both of them. I'm trying to learn things. I learn things as a player. I learn things as a coach. The difference between them two. You could tell, like with the NBA playoffs, as I've gotten older, I've kind of get a sense of like when teams are going to lose or when teams are going to win, because it's actually kind of a strategy when you're in the 7-game series. For example, like with the Rockets and the Warriors, when the Warriors won that first game, they were like, we do not necessarily need to win that second game because they already have home court advantage. They just stole it from Houston. So I kind of saw that. And then you see the media, they're like, well, now Houston's great, and Steph Curry's hurt and all this stuff. But I think it's kind of hard to really truly tell how good a team is in the NBA playoffs. Even seeding's different. Some tank some games just to get some rest, and they're at with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously they could easily be a 1-seed type of team, but they tanked a few games. They rested, but they're still here in the conference finals. So it's a little bit different. So I think with March Madness, the biggest thing we saw, the biggest upset in March Madness history with Virginia and UMBC, is like you can't tank a game in March Madness. I think when you have one game to play, and if UMBC, they got hot, they were playing well, they were playing loose. Virginia doesn't come back. It's like, all right, well, it's a 7-game series. We lost one, okay, then we can get the next one. you really in March Madness, I think that's what makes it so great. Is like that's why these upsets happen, because there's so much more pressure, and you kind of really see a true test of who the champion is, because it really is tough. I mean, even high school players could say it when they go into the playoffs and they're seeded. It's 1 against 16. You have this feeling that since you're the 1 seed, you have to win or you're expected to win. And then I know my experience in March Madness. Going when I was at UNM and we got upset by Harvard. There were a lot of quote unquote Harvard fans, because they were rooting for the upset. I mean, there is a lot of pressure, I think, when it comes to March Madness basketball. I think these kids play with a lot of heart. They're going after it. They're playing tough, and they're representing their school. Some of them are trying to, they're trying to get a contract. They're trying to show themselves in March Madness. And so, for me personally, I just think it's definitely it's better to see a champion. Do I think the NBA is going to do it? I don't know, because it's tough. I mean, it's a lot of money involved. It's tough because they have to play these 7 games, and even playing 7 games, that's really rough, because you have this mindset of, all right, should we sweep them right away, or do we get rest in the games where we're not playing as hard? We take a game, get a few days off, and then rest. So there's a lot of strategy, I think, behind the NBA playoffs. And then there's also when we talk about money, I think there's a big difference there too, because, well, if the home team sweeps gets a sweep, they don't come back home for Game 5, and then that's a lot of money lost. So you never know if that's taking place. Growing up as a Lakers fan, I always felt like that was the case, because they would win, or they were clearly the favorite to win. But it's like, okay, I think they lost that game on purpose just because, so they could have a home game. So I just think, you see a lot. It's a lot different when, money's not involved. So I think that's why, that's the debate, that NCAA players should be paid. It is tough because, they do bring in a lot of money. But I think when you see the heart for it, when you see someone doing something because they love it, it's a lot different. I mean, it's even for us, like serving at church versus your job. You could tell when someone really, truly gives their heart to something is when they serve, when they do something without getting paid. When I serve in the L Kids ministry, I don't get paid a dime for it, but I give my all into it. I give my talents or my thoughts to these kids. I think that, a lot of other people do that same thing. They just have a heart for God and they give to their ministries. So that's what I see in March Madness. I think if you add the money part to it, there's going to be like, and NBA players do this. They hold out because they want better contracts or they're not happy with where they're at. So you might see that in NCAA, basketball or football or whatever. So that's a different issue there. But I think if, we keep this format, I think they're even thinking about going to 72 teams now. Try to add more and more teams to it, which, you can't really blame them because Team 64 beat the best team in the tournament this year, and so you just know anything could happen. Loyola Chicago goes from the 11th seed all the way to the Final Four, so things could happen, and people will watch. I mean, it's not like they won't watch. People will watch and see this happen. So. I'm excited about the NBA playoffs. I think, with the Rockets and the Warriors, we'll see how that ends up. The Celtics and the Cavaliers, I mean, it would be a lot different if we saw Kyrie, and it would probably have been a lot better if we did see Kyrie, just because he's going against his other team. And then also, I just think, having the respect for the game is really, really important for whatever sport you guys play, football, basketball, baseball. Really, really respect the game in the sense that you're not really trying to cheat the game. I think, even in the NBA or even in basketball, you see a lot of flopping, you see a lot of, acting because you're trying to get a call. Like, I get it if you're trying to show somebody, like, hey, they're tugging on my jersey or they're elbowing me to show it. But I think when you add that flopping part where you're kind of acting, it kind of degrades the game. So I think it's really important for all of us to really respect it. Whatever game we play, respect it. Respect your opponent. I always say never fear your opponent. Always respect them, because there's a difference. Fearing is saying like, oh no, they're good. They're the high seed or whatever. They're better than us. That's fearing somebody. But on the other side of that coin is like when you respect somebody, you're saying like, I don't care who you are. I don't care what your seed is. We are coming to play, and we're going to give you our best shot. And then on the other end is like if you think a team is lesser than you, a lot of us play to the level of our opponents. And I've coached teams that are like that, and I'm like, guys, you cannot do that. If you're supposed to beat them by 20 or 30 points, then show it. Then don't make it close. Don't give them life, because they need to understand, like, okay, they actually are, better than us. And you need to show that, and it's okay to show that. So again, I'll leave you with that thought that we respect we fear nobody, but we respect everybody. Coming up, like I told you, we'll have a guest from Eastern New Mexico. He is homegrown here in Albuquerque. We'll talk to him. We'll catch up with him and see what he's been up to. So you're not going to want to miss it. We'll hope you come back, and we'll see you after the break.
Full House Real Estate. At Full House Real Estate, we handle everything from home sales to property management. With us, our team is your team. Give us a call today, 505-244-1918.
Welcome back to the Live Sports in New Mexico show. We're here just talking about live, talking about sports, how they interact with each other. Today we kind of talked about, like, we're picking that one word we're trying to focus on this summer. It is summertime. You can feel it in the air. It's hot outside. And you see school's coming to an end. There's all these graduations going on. Summer is here, and that usually means when you're a student athlete, you take that student off for about a few months and you become an athlete. And then we also talked about the NBA playoffs and March Madness, the difference between them. And we're going to kind of talk a little bit more with our guest today. And our guest today is from Eastern New Mexico. He played at Cibola. Really good player. He's doing really good things. Isaac Maldonado. He's in studio with us here today. Isaac, glad you're here. It's been a minute.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
So are you 1 year or 2 years removed from college?
2 years.
2 years. Gosh, that goes by fast.
I know.
Gosh. So let's go into this right away. So what is the biggest difference you've seen, or differences you've seen, from high school basketball to now college basketball at Eastern New Mexico?
Probably all the physical play and all of that. Mm-hmm. And when I first went in there my freshman year, I had no clue what was going to happen, because in high school I was like one of the biggest guys.
Right.
So I was always, one of the stronger ones, obviously. And then when I got there, a lot of the guards started pushing me around, and it kind of just like clicked right away. Like, this is no joke. Like, I really need to hit the weight room and need to step up.
Okay, so what was your biggest thing? So when you got there, was it strength, or was it like more conditioning, or was it a little bit of both? What was your kind of focus? Okay, after being here, what was the main thing you said, okay, this is what I really have to work on if I'm going to make it?
It'd probably have to be a little bit of both, because when you go to college, the game speeds up like way faster, and everything's like quick, because you have a shot clock now, so everything's like, it has to happen quick. And if you mess up, it could be potential from either scoring or turning it over. And then just being in the weight room, it could believe like I need that rebound, but if I wasn't strong enough, it'd be hard for me to go get that rebound.
Right. Yeah. I've noticed that, especially when I was with Coach Alfred, those details are really what make the difference. So what do they have you playing there? I know you played the post a little bit. You could play guard. What do they have you playing at?
They made it a 4, so small forward.
Okay, so are you, because a lot of teams now you see in the NBA that's like a lot of stretch offense. So are you running more of a spread offense, or is it like more like dump it down,
No, we are more of a spread offense, because like our biggest big, he's probably like about 6'8", 6'9", so he's not like a big actual like a just a center. Yeah. So we're allowed to stretch it out, and all of us could pretty much shoot. So either we have like a mid-range 3. So like sometimes they'll have me stretch out, and I'll do like a pick and roll, or they'll allow me to pick and pop, and I'll just hit the 3.
Okay. Nice. And you're a lefty too, right?
Yes,
so yes, lefties can shoot. That's like the 11th commandment or something. The lefties can shoot. All right. So, do you miss being home here in Albuquerque? And if you do, what do you miss most about it?
I do miss being home, but probably the main thing that I miss is probably family, because my family's close. So then you go to college, you're not around them as much, and so it's just like quiet.
Yeah, that's tough. So do your family go out there a lot to Eastern to see you play, or?
They try, they work, but they try to make a couple of the games.
You played in the pit. I think it was your first year, right? You played in the pit. How was that? How was you play? I mean, obviously you played there as at Cibola when you're in the. That's true. But what was the difference really when you saw like the UNM crowd there when you're at Eastern?
Man, they're hostile. Because like growing up here, I'd go to a couple of the games, and like I knew they're cheering on their home team, but I never experienced it as like an opponent coming in.
Right.
So it was kind of like mind blowing.
Yeah. Well, because the student section is like right there next to you, and they usually have your roster, and they're like yelling at you. Got Snake right there, just barking
and then, like,
at
you sit at the end of the bench and stuff, and like because they're right there in your ear, you just hear them yelling all kinds of stuff.
It's crazy. That guy's crazy, but I guess he helps us out. So what have kind of been your favorite moments, or maybe like I always like to call this like defining moments. Some moments that you're just like, man, I've really gotten to a point where I've made a big improvement in my life or whatever. Doesn't have to be on the court, could be off the court as well. But what have been your favorite moments in these 2 years in college?
Probably just growing more as a person, becoming more mature. Like, all right, so this is obviously my second year of college. I'm about to go on to my third. So it's just like I really had to sit down and think like, okay, like my life's like coming. I'm about to be an adult, so I need to get my mind together. I need to get my stuff right.
Okay, that's good stuff. So like, go into my next question. So what does the future look to you as far as a Chris? So you are at the halfway point, So what is it that you want to do, and then whatever you do, how will you use basketball into your future life?
Well, I want to go play overseas if that's at all possible. Find a contract somewhere in the G League, wherever I'm able to get a contract. So at this point, I just need to step up my game, like work on my handles, work on getting my shot better, and then just go from there.
Nice. So what are you going to school for?
Business.
Business. Okay. So I think with basketball, you could take that.
Yeah, I can take it anywhere.
You can take it anywhere.
My focus is marketing, so if I don't go overseas, or even after I go overseas, I can always go to like a sports team because I want to stick close to basketball and just work for the sports team, market their stuff.
Yeah, I was the same way. I took the coaching route because I miss it. I love being a part of it. So that's good. I'm glad you want to stay close with it. So we did talk about you are coming off an injury or surgery. So to help somebody else out? What does your mindset have to be during the rehab process? Because I know you want to get back out there. You want to get, you're so eager, but you have to be patient at the same time. So what is your mindset as you go through this time?
At first it's tough because, like you said, you're just eager to get out there. And when I first had it, I couldn't like move or anything. So all I did, I just watched basketball, studied basketball, and I just kind of keep my mind occupied. So I didn't think much about it. Like, oh, okay, well I can't do this, but I went and chose like another route, so where I'm like learning from the game still, even though I'm not playing it.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of the best players will tell you it's just the mental part. You got to kind of focus on that, or you can strengthen something else. I had a friend that he hurt his right arm, but he worked on his left hand, and so he got his left hand stronger. So as we wrap up, we were before this segment, I was talking about college ball and the NBA. You've been a part of college basketball, and you're watching the NBA. What is your take on it? Like, what do you think is better? What do you think about both basically postseason situation? You got the NBA playoffs, and then you got March Madness. Which one is better for you?
Personally, I like March Madness because how you were saying before, you only get one game, so it's either you need to bring your A game or you're getting sent home. Whereas in the NBA, you got 7 games maximum, 4 minimum to at least prove something. So if you have one bad game, you can always come back. But in college, if you have one bad game, basically it.
Shoot, I was a part of that when we were playing against Harvard. That was just one bad game. It was a tough matchup for us. So yeah, like I agree. I think it's that one and done. Once you get that finished up. So good stuff. Thank you for coming on. I'm glad definitely glad we could catch up. Isaac Molyneux playing at Eastern New Mexico. Check them out. Try to keep up to date with them. They got a lot of things going on. Good program going down there in Silver City? Portales. That's Western. Yeah. I'm way off the map here. Okay, but yeah, in Portales, you got Eastern New Mexico there. Again, Isaac has been a great, I've trained him since he was, early in high school. And I think he's doing really great things. I'm glad he's matured into a great young man. He's going to do some great things. So again, thanks for coming on the show. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see what guests we can come up with. See who's back in town. We got some guys from that played here in high school that are back in town with college. We're going to try to catch up with them and see what's up with them. So again, thanks you guys for tuning into the show, and we'll see you next week.